You ever use an app and it just knows what you want next? It kind of feels like magic, right? Well, behind every one of those smart tools, there's something called a data model. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at its entire life story, from just an idea to a really powerful piece of AI. So, where does this all even begin?
Yeah, how does that happen? How do you go from, a giant pile of raw data to an intelligent system that can predict traffic, recommend your next favorite song, or even help doctors find diseases? It's a really fascinating journey, and believe it or not, it's a lot more structured than you might think.
And this is basically the roadmap for that whole journey. It's a 7-step life cycle that takes a model from its birth, as just a concept, all the way to a mature, working tool. Let's walk through it step by step, because this is pretty much the blueprint for almost all modern AI. All right, part 1, the blueprint. You can't build anything great without a solid plan, and it's no different for a data model. This first phase is all about getting ready. This is where we lay all the groundwork, making sure we have everything we need before any of the real learning can even start. First up is data preparation. And what's wild is that this is often the part that takes the most time. I'm serious, some experts say it can be up to 80% of a data scientist job. Think of it like a master chef getting ready to cook. You don't just dump all the ingredients in a pot, right? Nope. You have to clean them, chop them, get everything organized perfectly. Raw data is exactly the same. It's messy, so it has to be cleaned up and structured so the model can actually understand what it's looking at. So once our data ingredients are all prepped and ready, it's time to pick the recipe. And that's the model itself. I mean, you wouldn't use a cake recipe to make soup, right? It's the same idea here. A model that's built to recognize pictures is totally different from one that's supposed to predict stock prices. This step is all about choosing the right algorithm, the perfect blueprint to solve the exact problem we're trying to tackle. Okay, so our data is ready, we've picked our model, now it's time for the real challenge. I like to call this part the Gauntlet. This is where the model gets trained, tested like crazy, and basically has to prove it's good enough before we can let it out into the real world. So first, we have model evaluation. Think of this as the model's final exams. After it's been trained on a bunch of data, we throw new data at it, stuff it's never seen before, to see how well it does. Is it actually making accurate predictions? If it passes, we move on to deployment. And that's graduation day. This is when the model gets put into a real application and finally starts doing its job. And this is what deployment actually feels like for you and me. It's that exact moment your world gets just a little bit smarter. Your music app finally gets your taste, or your map finds you a faster way home. This is where the model's work starts to actually matter, when all that code and data becomes a useful tool right in your hands. But here's the twist. You think graduation is the end of the story, right? That the model is done, finished, and sent off to work forever. But in the world of AI, deployment is actually just the beginning of the most important part of its life. Welcome to the real world. For a data model, this is not the finish line. It's a non-stop process of learning and adapting. Think about it. The world is always changing, right? New music, new traffic patterns, new everything. A truly smart model has to be able to change with it. And that brings us to this final, super important phase, a continuous learning loop. It starts with validation, just checking in to make sure the model is still doing a good job. Then, through monitoring, if we see something's off, like its predictions are getting a little less accurate, that kicks off the final step, feedback and iteration. We use new data, new feedback to retrain and improve the model, which sends it right back to the beginning of this loop, only this time a little bit smarter. This cycle, this loop of validating, monitoring, and then iterating, that is the real secret sauce. It's how your streaming service went from just recommending popular movies to suggesting that obscure indie film you ended up absolutely loving. It's what separates a simple, static computer program from a dynamic, living intelligence that's always adapting to you and to a constantly changing world. Which brings us to a final, really interesting question. If a model's life is just a constant cycle of learning and getting better, can we ever say that it's truly finished? Or is its whole purpose to just be in this perpetual state of becoming better? Something to think about the next time your phone suggests the perfect song out of nowhere.